documentation is Linda has to maintain for the Public Information Act, she has to maintain records. So we have to have kind of those three tensions going on, that if I ask Andy for an opinion, it comes back to me, Linda's the one that's in charge of records. She has to know about it for records maintenance. So I asked Linda to basically come up with a policy. So we're going to go.
I set up for minutes.
Hey, come on, I'm not used to driving. Hold on.
You
Let me say all that without doing anything, okay.
Yeah, you're not even sharing. Your screen got flipped on PowerPoint, didn't it?
What do I got?
Motion, I think.
Okay. All right, so this is the ordinance, if everybody can see it. It doesn't work. So basically, Lindy, why don't you take it?
It's just very basic and straightforward. Anybody on the council requesting an attorney opinion from Andy makes the request. Andy's going to answer and reply to me. I'll maintain them all in my office, and as soon as I get the opinion from Andy, I'll notify everybody on the council that there's one in the office, and you can see it in there. And that way we don't have to worry about a bunch of emails and somebody accidentally disclosing something.
Yeah, some of the attorney stuff is not only attorney-client, it's legally confidential. So if a developer gives us information, hey, I'd like to build this, or I'd like to think about doing that, and I send Andy and say, look, here's some plans about what a developer's trying to do, what do you think? Those plans are confidential under state law. You can't even do a public information request yet. We tried to get the well information from the North Texas Groundwater District, what wells are in our neighborhood. They said you can't get it, we won't tell you. They wouldn't tell us how deep it is. They said that's proprietary. They put in the person that paid for those wells to put them in, that's their information. It's confidential. They have the documents. They won't give them to us. So, because business-related stuff, economic development stuff is confidential by law. Am I saying that right, Andy?
Yeah.
So it's not even that I don't want Andy or you to know about it because it's me and Andy talking. It's legally, if it got out, that's a violation of state law. Okay, even if it's innocent, like it's no big deal. I don't care if you know about it. We can't release it. It's not allowed. Okay, so that's why there's intermingling between some stuff is legally confidential that it can't be released, and other things are confidential because of attorney-client that it's confidential that way. Okay?
So let's discuss the stuff that's not confidential, because it could be a majority of what we discuss. And I guess I'm going to address this to you. If we ask you an opinion, which you're going to give us a fact law, that's not confidential, it's pretty bad fact law. Why would we want to keep that from our taxpayers?
Well, if you ask me an opinion, depending on what it is, most times that's going to be attorney-client communication that is privileged. Because you're the client, I'm the attorney, I'm giving you a legal opinion on whatever the circumstance is. So many times it's going to be privileged communication.
So the client is us.
Yes.
If the client chose to disclose that, is there any concern on your side? I mean, let's make sure that everybody understands.
Yeah.
Attorney-client privilege, like, it's to protect the client. Is that correct? Or is it
Yeah,
also to
the
protect the
client owns the privilege.
client owns the privilege? So if we go and ask a question about what does this law mean to us? Factual statement. And we decide to disclose that. How would we decide that? Because we're passing an ordinance that says everything's confidential. Taxpayers may not know what we're saying. How would we make a decision to say
I
this
don't
is
think that's what it says.
option number 3 there says that in order to maintain confidentiality as required by law,
As required by
which
law.
is the thing I want to ask, the opinions of the attorney shall only be available for review in the town hall, and they can only be available to review from the people sitting here. So how would we disclose a normal question of law?
Yeah. Or an issue, or privileged communication.
No, a statement of fact. I get hey, if we've got a problem on our hands, we kind of figure it out,
Yeah.
and there's, privileged information in there that you can't discuss, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones that aren't that. I'm talking about the statement of facts, simple questions, those types of things that are, that we're asking you. How, if we do this, how do we disclose that to our taxpayers?
Well, I don't wanna mix up apples and oranges. If there's something that's confidential, that confidentiality between attorney and client can be waived by the client.
Yep.
The better way that is waived is if the council collectively voted and said, we're gonna release this to the public. That way the client, the body politics, knowingly waives a confidential matter.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the body makes a motion. So the concern comes in is, if every time we ask you a question,
Right.
and every one that comes back to us goes back to limber. Because I'm reading this that, if Clint or anybody goes to you, everything you're gonna come back with an opinion or statement of fact is gonna come through this process.
No, it's only if you request an official opinion from Andy. If I call Andy on the phone and say, look, Andy approves our agenda. If I call Andy and say, Andy, are you okay with the wording if I do this or do, it's not general questions, it's not operating questions. It's if you say, I wanna get a legal opinion from Andy, a written legal opinion, that we're gonna use to say whether or not we can do A or B. It's not every communication that we have with Andy. It's an official opinion letter from Andy. If you said, Andy, why don't you write an opinion? So at least my concern, Dan, is.
I'll restate it. So my question to Andy again is, an official opinion that is clearly a statement of fact which has no confidentiality.
Well, then why are you asking?
Because if we pass this thing, it tells you that we would need to vote to give the taxpayers information they should have. And I have a concern with that. Now, I get if you say it's confidential, we gotta make confidential, I get that. And if you wanna waive it, we gotta vote, I get that. But if this information is not confidential,
Yeah.
where do we have a right to keep it from the people? I don't get that.
Well, I don't know what, if I'm giving an opinion and that deals with underlying facts, say for example, a plat. Plat's gonna be public information. If it's filed of record, that's public information, right?
Sure.
But if somebody is asking me to give an opinion on the legality of that plat or the passing of that plat, that could be different. To me, I don't care if the plat's provided or not. My opinion about it, I do care about. That's how, so I would parse that.
Okay, yeah, no, I get that, right? So if it's confidential, keep it confidential and only vote to waive it by voting it, right?
Say that again?
Yeah, so if it's confidential data in that
Yeah.
opinion, and even if the asking of it is a confidential thing, then vote to release it, right?
It's up to y'all.
If you want to, if you
That's up to y'all.
if you want to release it, then vote, or you vote not to release it, right? So two things. How would you, let's go back to the thing that drove us, right? You and I had a conversation about, ethics, right? We took a look at the bunch of towns that are around here, and we said, hey, here's policies that are out there, and we had a conversation about how could we, establish some guideline ethical things for the town council. You and I went back and forth, and then we came up with things that, so using that example, there's nothing confidential in there. I mean, restating existing Texas law is not confidential information.
But then,
Yeah.
Dan.
No, that's not accurate.
No,
Okay, let's go on here.
Any communication between me and any council member, it can be confidential, just because it's attorney-client communication and you're asking a legal opinion.
Perfect. So that means that every time we ask an opinion, it's automatically confidential.
Well, that's not what I understand this.
Well,
What I
that's-
understand this
that's not-
is,
Is that not-
it's asking, a council person is asking me to give a written opinion on something. Not necessarily, and the way I understand this is, it doesn't deal with,
It doesn't say that though.
okay, well, maybe that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So it says they're all requests. So if I see you out in the parking lot and I say, hey, got a question for you, can you give me an opinion on this, and you give it to me?
That's a request for an official opinion, right?
That would be.
Dan, here's what we're trying to parse out, Dan.
I don't know, I'm asking y'all for direction on how you want me to deal with this.
There's, Dan, so let let me say where we're going with this. Okay, so it makes no sense to ask Andy an opinion about something which is a straight fact of law. Asking Andy, you know, does the city council have 6 members or 4 members? Something that's a no-brainer, trivial, you know, simple thing.
Like an ethics?
Asking him to write an opinion on that, yeah, we could release that because it's pointless. It was something you could read in the local government code. For him to give an opinion on something. Now, suppose I say, Andy, we're thinking about using eminent domain to acquire some land in front of the town entrance so we can make the thing. How would we go about that or whatever? Clearly, that's confidential. We would not want that telegraphed. We're thinking about using eminent domain, we're thinking about.
You can't say you wouldn't want that telegraphed, you may not want it telegraphed.
We would not, you don't negotiate, you've got to figure out your options when you're talking about real property, and you do that confidentially.
All I wanted to ask was, how could we, if we pass this ordinance, and it says I'm sorry, you're thinking this, all requests are immediately confidential, which I'm not necessarily against, but it says all requests for official opinions. My question is, how do we release them? Your answer was we need to vote on it. And all I
That
want
would
to
be
do-
the best way.
It'll be the best way, and I'll go with the best way. So the question is, how would we even say that? Like, hey, I want to have a vote to release the confidential information, or how, how would you even go about doing that?
How would you vote?
Yeah, like, how would you put that on the agenda?
Yeah, so how I would do that is, or what I would recommend doing is, if you put an executive session for attorney-client communication about whatever the topic is, you meet an executive session, you talk about it, and if it's something that y'all want to vote on, you come out of executive session, and somebody makes a motion to disclose this information to the public. Second, all in favor? And if it passes, then it would be disclosed. If it doesn't pass, it remains confidential.
By default, everything you do is going to be confidential at this point.
Well, why don't, are you
I'm
asking for this
asking the- I just
word right
want-
here to be written? Would that be a better clarification, or to be official?
Well, no, I said, here's the problem, if we go with written, then the problem is I could ask for a verbal. I mean, I could ask for,
Right.
so
They happen
I think
all the
we're all
time.
encompassing now,
But
right?
that, yeah, but we do verbal ones. The concern, if you do it orally, that's not a concern about confidential information running around. There's an email out there saying, we're gonna try and acquire this piece of land for a well. You know, or we're looking to acquire this, or we're looking to do, this developer wants to know if we were willing to do 2 houses per acre, if they'll give us $1 million to put in a park. I mean, there's information out there that, yeah, if you do it orally, I don't have a problem with that, because there's no problem with that being disseminated outside the envelope. You're on your honor to not do that. But that's the way we operate now, right? We're under the honor code now.
Well, we would have been on the other, but now we're gonna put a provision on that. I don't know, I gotta say, I'm not comfortable with keeping information from the taxpayers. I'm just not comfortable with that.
We're just talking in circles here. So, I mean, unless there's any new information or somebody wants to.
Do we want to add the word written opinion here? Is that, my concern is with the emails. That's, my concern is about having, and I know Andy is, Andy, when he gives us an
Easily
opinion.
to disseminate material, right?
Well, Andy, I mean, it's fair for Andy to write an opinion. If he's writing it to me, it's not right for me to then disseminate that. He didn't write it to the others. It's like being an author of a work. If I write a letter to you, I'm not writing it to 27 other people. You don't get to CC that. And so, I mean, that's the problem is, we need to be able to make sure that we're square up. If Andy's conversing, that doesn't get out in the universe without him knowing that.
And
He
it's
needs
also,
to-
it becomes available to everyone, and it's a controlled source.
I mean, it's your opinion, all right?
Yeah, but the confidentiality is the confidentiality is with the town. And I think that's why we asked the question, being to establish that. So it's not your call to remain confidential. We're not here to protect you. You're good. It's us. So, and then again, what I would question is, under what circumstances would the town need to keep the stuff from the people? And I get certain things, making deals, you're gonna acquire a piece of property, I get that. This is very all-encompassing. And I would warn of the dangers of having everything being confidential that people don't know about.
Andy, is your concern Okay, so it's one thing for you to say that the city council can decide, we have the authority to release any opinion you've read. We do, we have that authority. The question is then, scratch that, what do you want? Are you comfortable with us? Would you rather have us ask you? To me, I would ask you and say, Andy, there's something on the agenda about potentially releasing your opinion about X. What do you think?
Yeah.
Do you want your name associated with this floating around the universe, or?
Well,
because-
I'm gonna back anything I put in writing. I'm gonna stand behind it, but it doesn't mean everything I say is open to the public.
It also doesn't.
Our office gets a volume of phone calls from mayors and council members every day about a lot of different topics. We give opinions about a lot of things every single day. Sometimes we give opinions by email, sometimes we give written memorandum opinions. So, I think it'd be fair to say if a council member or mayor calls me, I think you're probably gonna keep that confidential, but you're not gonna call me unless you really wanna know the answer for something that's pressing. If you want something in email, it's gonna be more important than something that's on the phone. And I would normally think you would keep that confidential. But that's up to you. If it's a written opinion, cities deal with that differently. Some of the cities that I represent, if I give an opinion to one council person, then normally that same opinion will go to the mayor and maybe the mayor pro tem. And in this instance, you're saying, well, it should go to all council members, just so that everybody knows what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a matter of your individual policy. There's not a set way to do that. But most of the times, if you're asking for my opinion, it's probably gonna be on something that's more sensitive. It's not gonna be something that's necessarily public. That you're gonna use that opinion to make a decision about some public item. But it's up to you. Normally, I'm gonna counsel you, if it's something you're asking my opinion, or you want my work product on, or my research, I want you to keep that confidential. That would normally be my recommendation. But it's your call if you want to disseminate that to the public, but it's your call collectively.
Okay, because I think of
Normal
facts of
adoption.
law, we send it to TML. For instance, I've got a question about, it dealt with regulating, I think, the road. If we change, I don't know what section of transportation code it's in. I'm not gonna ask Ann, I write TML and say, look, where in this section of the transportation code does it say we can regulate four-wheelers on the street? Tell me where do I go? And their lawyers will tell me, it's in section whatever. We use TML for kind of the no-brainers. I wanna use your brain power. We pay for you when it's something which is a gray area, something where we need actual guidance. I don't want to use you for no-brainers. That's why, to me, by definition, when you're in the loop, it's important.
Right.
And with all the developer work that we've got going on, and a lot of it right now, and cities and agreements, things that we're trying to work out, the school board, and there's just lots of stuff where that information can't be disseminated right now. It's not right. It's not ready yet. There's too many moving parts.
Can we just clarify, this document isn't creating and making things confidential. It's acknowledging the confidentiality that already exists.
Yeah, it's not the way it's written. It could have been written that way, but it doesn't say that. If you read it.
So again, we're just going in circles, we're saying the same thing, so, I haven't heard anything from Ray, I don't have any trouble with it, Ray or Gary.
Do you want to add anything or clarify
I would-
anything verbally?
I would caution voting this in today only because I would say that the 3 times I've gone to you, Andy, I think it's 3, every one of those came from a citizen. Those citizens asked me a question, I clarified it with you. If we enact this, I can't go back to those citizens without a vote of the council. And I think there's a fundamental problem with that. I get what, Mayor Vargas is saying, confidential stuff, it's coming through email, we don't want to forward it. I think that makes sense to me. If there's a way we can bridge it where, you're maintaining disclosure with the public where you can, and maybe it's just a verbiage change, but I think we gotta be very careful that if a citizen asks a question and we go to you, that we can't discuss it, that's something that's fundamentally wrong with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a binary solution, right? I mean, we either have to protect the confidentiality, stop, like, these developers or anything from potentially getting out. That's a trade-off. Or we have now where any one of you can take one of my emails that I try and update you on and send it off to the developer. Tell them what.
This is actually a mechanism to see those things, so those things that you've asked Andy for, I have not seen them yet. This would provide a mechanism that is available without sending them out, violating any quorum rules by sending them out, distributing them, then getting resent, questions being asked. There's in a binder.
I don't have a
Pull the
problem.
binder off the shelf, read it.
Section 1 and section 2, I'm completely agreeing. It's just something.
I mean, having it in a binder is not a quorum issue, right? When it says it's available, everybody can come on their own and look at it, right?
Oh, any member here.
That's good, right?
Not the public.
No, the public can never see our opinions.
Well, that's my point.
But there's a mechanism to make them public now.
Yeah, we can do it. It's not a quorum issue, Andy, right? If there's a binder on the shelf and when it says, you guys can five can come in on your own.
I wouldn't want that to happen.
Rob?
I would not want that to happen.
Yeah, what?
To have have a forum looking at it the same.
Oh, at the
No,
same
no, no,
time.
no.
Individually, they would just show.
No,
up.
if you just,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll be here Monday, Ray comes in on Tuesday.
That'd be all, if y'all would want to report that.
Okay.
Gary?
Question?
Yep.
Okay, you good, Ray? Any motion then? Again, this is a resolution, this is not a.
I motion to approve the resolution of establishing procedures for requesting and receiving official opinions from the village. I say.
A motion, a second, all in favor? Opposed? All right, next up, we will into, discussion of recent road repairs. Dan?
I think, the last, sorry, two meetings ago, right, last one, the last official one, we discussed the repairs in the roads, and look, I am not a road guy, but they look good to me. I mean, it looks impressive, looks like good. The questions that have been raised to me have been, one, when are they gonna finish, Kerry Lane? Is there a number of things that are marked in orange? And orange was the one that we approved. They didn't finish those, so we need to kind of discuss what happened there, right? And then, you know, the other thing was I think we left where, Mary, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I was under the impression that you were gonna inspect the work on a daily basis. And when we didn't see the inspection going on. And again, I'm not really questioning the work itself, because I'm not an expert, I'm not an engineer. It looks good to me, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. So I guess the question is on the inspection, and then on the rest of the roads that aren't done yet. I think that there's, at least 4 major sections, and then, Johnny, you sent an email today, which I gotta tell you, I didn't even look on your side of the road, I apologize. I know what hole you're talking about, because I've stepped into myself, but I was really thinking the other side of Cary wasn't done, and I was thinking the berm where your house is, that was all marked, that wasn't done. I guess the question is, what happened there?
So the piece about what you're asking about, so Gary, how
Yeah.
much was the quote for?
Well,
So I think the quote was around $40,000, and we approved the mayor to spend 25. How much did we pay the road guy?
45.
25. So the mayor, and if I remember that meeting right, we intentionally collectively decided to cap it at 25. So we got $25,000.
And that's